بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم الحمد لله رب العالمين والعاقبة للمتقين الصلاة والسلام على سيد الأشرف الأنبياء والمرسلين وعلى آله وصحبه أجمعين وبعد فقد قال الله تبارك وتعالى جل جلاله في القرآن المجيد والفرقان الحميد بعد أن أقول أعوذ بالله من الشيطان الرجيم بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم إن الذين يؤذون الله ورسوله لعنهم الله في الدنيا والآخرة وأعد لهم عذابا مهينا آمنت بالله صدق الله العظيم وصدق رسوله النبي الكريم ونحن على ذلك من الشاهدين والشاكرين والحمد لله رب العالمين إن الله وملائكته يصلون على النبي يا أيها الذين آمنوا صلوا عليه وسلموا تسليما بآواز بلند اللهم صل على سيدنا ومولانا محمد وعلى آل سيدنا ومولانا محمد وبارك وسلم وصل عليه. Inshallah, before I start, can I please request the brothers who are sitting here with the intention of listening to myself for the next 20-25 minutes, can you just make your way slightly closer? There are some adab and etiquettes of gathering. Jazakallahu khairah. Allah aapko salamat rakhe. If you can please move forward. Those who are leaning on the walls, if there's any shar'i uzr, you have a reason medically to lean, that's fine. If not, it's against the etiquettes of a gathering in which the Quran and Sunnah is being mentioned to be lazy or opening your legs and sat in a way which is inappropriate. As you have all read in the hadith, you should all be aware that when the Prophet ﷺ would speak, the Sahaba would sit in such a unique still posture. It was as though that there were birds on his shoulders of the companions. That's how still they would be. They would not even move the slightest, because the words which were coming from the mouth of Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam was either the Quran itself or the explanation of the Quran. We ask Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala to act upon the teachings of Rasulullah. Ameen ya Rabbal Alameen sallallahu alaihi wasallam. Yesterday I briefly spoke about who the family of Rasulullah is and how Allah has commanded us in the Quran to love them. I think that's pretty clear. These personalities do not belong to any group. They do not belong to any individuals, but rather they are the descendants, the blood of Sayyiduna Rasulullah. And anything which has an attachment to Rasulullah, it becomes the best. And I say this without any forms of exaggeration. 124,000 prophets, they have their own ummas, their own nations. But we are the best of nations. 1,24,000 अंबिया उनकी उम्मतें तो होगी ना, लेकिन सब उम्मतों से अफजल उम्मत हम हैं. We are the best of all the nations. Why? It's not because we have anything unique within us. अगर माल के लिहाज से देखें तो साबिका उम्मत में बहुत माल था. If you look at wealth, in the past there were more wealthier people than us. If you look at strength, who were 12 foot, 18 foot, 20 foot, 80 foot, great, big, powerful Viking men, there have been more powerful people than us. If you look at beauty, Jamal, there have been more handsome men than us, the time of Yusuf alayhi salam. It's a history. What is it that we have that makes us the greatest? Why has Allah called us kuntum khayra ummah? It's only one thing, that we are the ummah of Sayyiduna Rasulullah sallallahu alayhi wasallam. The Sahaba, they are the best. Why? Because they are not the companions of one another, but rather they spent one moment of their life in the state of Iman, in the presence of Rasulullah, and that one moment is so blessed that if the whole ummah gets together, you cannot equate the status of the lowest graded Sahabi, because he has spent one moment in the presence of Rasulullah sallallahu alayhi wasallam. In the very same way, when we look at the family of Rasulullah sallallahu alayhi wasallam, they have the blood of Rasulullah sallallahu alayhi wasallam running within their veins. No family is equivalent to the family of Rasulullah sallallahu alayhi wasallam, and this is without any reason. And those of you who come from the South Asian world, there's a very famous fatwa in the Hanafi school a compilation or a collection of fatwas. Generally the Hanafi school, Fatawa Shami or Raddul Mukhtar is also called, is the most common book or compilation of fatwas. We have a fatwa called Fatawa Hindiya. What's the origins of that? Time does not permit me to speak, but usme likha hai. It's very clearly stated within there. जो आका अलैहि सलातु वसलाम के जूते हैं, उनका जो तस्मा है, अगर उस तस्मे की कोई आदमी गुस्ताखी या तौहीन करे, वो आदमी दायरा इस्लाम से खारिज हो जाता है. That the shoes that our honorable Rasulullah would wear, the lace within the shoe, if anybody shows a word or sign of disrespect towards that, he is out of the folds of Islam. And today we are talking about those individuals who are from the family of Sayyiduna Rasulullah sallallahu alayhi wasallam. So today we will take it from the Quran again, the beginning. Allah in the Quran says that his obedience or his obeying is in the obeying of Rasulullah. Ati'ullah wa Rasul. Ati'ullah wa Rasulah. Qul in kuntum tuhibbuna Allah fattabi'uni. To show obedience to Allah, you have to follow Rasulullah. Yeah, baat to wazih hai. This is clear. The way you show that you follow Allah is by following Rasulullah. In the very same way, following is one thing. What's the opposite? Kisi ka hukam amal karna ya kisi ko taklif pahunchana. Either listening to the command of somebody or disobeying them and causing grief, sadness, or annoying somebody. Allah says in the noble Quran, Surah Al-Ahzab, A'udhu billahi minash shaitanir rajim, Innal ladhina, beshak wo log, yu'udhuna Allah wa rasulahu, जो अल्लाह को अज़ियत पहुंचाते हैं और उसके रसूल को अज़ियत पहुंचाते हैं. Those people, indeed those people who annoy Allah, cause distress to Allah and His Messenger. La'anahumullahu fid dunya wal akhirah. Allah's la'na is on them in the dunya and in the akhirah. Wa a'adda lahum adhaban muhina. Allah has prepared for them adhaban muhina, the punishment of muhin. Now, let me ask you a question. How does somebody annoy Allah? Or the word Allah, or the word annoying or distressing as an emotion, can we use this word for Allah? Allah is pure. Laysa kamithlihi shay. Allah is pure of emotions, right? Feelings. So what is Allah saying to us here? Allah is saying to us here that if you harm or annoy or cause distress to my messenger in any way, in reality that is causing distress to me. Allah Ta'ala Rasulullah ki aziyat ko apni aziyat kara de raha hai. Allah is saying कि अगर तुमने नबी को तकलीफ दी, गोया तुमने मुझे तकलीफ दी. And Ibn Taymiyyah in his work As-Sarimul Maslul, page 86, on this ayah, he comments and he says, إِنَّهُ قَرَنَ عَزَاهُ بِعَزَاهُ. Indeed, Allah has made His own annoyance in line with the annoyance of Rasulullah. Meaning, if anyone annoys Rasulullah, in reality, he has annoyed Allah. كَمَا قَرَنَ طَاعَتَهُ بِطَاعَتِهِ. Just the way He has called His own obedience the obedience of Rasulullah. فَمَنْ أَزَاهُ فَقَدْ أَزَلَّهُ. So then, what's the conclusion that we have? Is that whoever causes distress to Allah, he has caused distress to, whoever has caused distress to Rasulullah, he has caused distress to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. وَقَدْ جَاءَ ذَلِكَ مَنْسُوسًا أَهُ وَمَنْ أَزَلَّهُ. जिसने रसूलुल्लाह को अज़ियत पहुंचाई, उसने अल्लाह को अज़ियत पहुंचाई. وَمَنْ أَزَلَّهُ فَهُوَ काफिर. और जिसने अल्लाह को अज़ियत पहुंचाई वो काफिर है. Whoever causes distress to Rasulullah, in reality that is the distress of whom? Allah. And whoever causes distress to Allah, فَهُوَ كَافِرٌ. In As-Sarimul Maslul, page 86, Ibn Taymiyyah, he mentions this. Now when we look at the life of Sayyiduna Rasulullah sallallahu alayhi wa alihi wa sallam, and when his grandson was martyred, is this something which caused him distress or not? Sayyiduna Imam Hussein radiallahu ta'ala, and he is that individual that even within his life Rasulullah did not like him crying. Rasulullah unka rona bhi gawara nahi karte the. It's mentioned that the Prophet sallallahu alayhi wa sallam, he would walk out, and one day he was in front of the house of Sayyidatul Nisa'il Alamin, Sayyida Fatima, and he could hear some crying. रोने की आवाज़ आ रही थी. So the Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam said, Ya Fatima tu, कि ए फातिमा, अला ta'lami अन्ना बुकाअहु युअज़ीनी, कि ए फातिमा तू जानती नहीं कि जब हुसैन रोता है तो मुझे तकलीफ महसूस होती है. Oh Fatima, are you not aware that when my grandson Hussein he cries, it causes distress to me? Make him quiet immediately. Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam, during the life of Imam Hussein radiallahu ta'ala an, his love was so much he did not cause any distress to him. Even the hadith which I mentioned yesterday, when Rasulullah was in sajda and the companions tried to climb, the grandsons tried to climb on his back, and with ishara he made signals to the companions tried to take them off. And Rasulullah sallallahu alayhi wa alihi wasallam, he with ishara, with signs, he said to them, with signs, in the state of salah, leave him. He prolonged the salah, tul fi sajda, so long, the Sahabi says, that we started to fear. Itna lamba sajda, such a big sajda, such a long sajda. One Sahabi says that I actually got out of the state of sajda and I lifted my head to see what's happening. कि इसकी वजह क्या है? Why is the sajda so long? He says कि हमने सोचा, there's only two things that can be possible here. Number one, that Rasulullah has left this world. इतना लंबा सजदा कि हमने सोचा कि अगर रसूलुल्लाह का सजदा इतना लंबा है कि शायद अल्लाह ताला के प्यारे हो गए, इस दुनिया से ज़ाकिरन चले गए, अल्लाह से मुलाकात कर ली. I started to think that Rasulullah has left this world and that's why he's not moving from the sajda. Or the other things the Sahabi says is that we started to feel amongst ourselves is that the revelation of Allah is coming to Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam. कि अल्लाह ताला की वही उतर रही है. And that's why the Prophet is not moving. But when we looked, it wasn't that Allah has called his Prophet to his presence. It was not that the revelation was coming, but it was that Imam Hussein was on the shoulders of Rasulullah and the Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam did not want to upset him by moving him. So he prolonged his sajda until Imam Hussein, he moves himself and then he continued with the salah. So much love he had for him, and loving these people is loving Rasulullah, and whoever loves Rasulullah, he loves Allah. In the hadith of Tirmizi in his Sunan in Kitabul Manaqib, he says that the Prophet sallallahu alaihi wa alihi wasallam said, Allahumma inni uhibbuhuma, कि ऐ अल्लाह मैं इन दोनों से प्यार करता हूँ. फ़अहिब्बहुमा, तू भी इनसे प्यार कर. व अहिब्बा मन युहिब्बुहुमा, और जो इनसे प्यार करता है तू उनसे प्यार कर. What a beautiful hadith of Rasulullah sallallahu alayhi wa sallam. He says, Allahumma, ay Allah, O Allah, inni uhibbuhuma, I love these two, Hassan and Hussein. Fa'ahibbahuma, because I love them, O Allah, I am asking you to love them as well. The hadith is not finished. Rasulullah did not only care about Imam Hassan and Hussein, he cared about everybody. He told us the reward and the benefits of loving these people. Wa ahibba man yuhibbuhuma, he says, I love them, O Allah, you love them. And then he makes a dua to Allah, whoever loves them, O Allah, I ask you to love them as well. So in order to be those people who love or who are loved by Allah, the love of Allah is conditional to loving Sayyiduna Hassan and Hussein, because loving them is loving Rasulullah, loving Rasulullah is loving Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. Then my brothers and sisters, this is a very famous hadith, and this has been mentioned, akhrajahu Ahmad ibn Hanbal fil Musnad. Imam Ahmad bin Hanbal has mentioned it in his book Al-Musnad, and he has also mentioned this in Fada'il Sahaba. And then Imam Tirmizi has mentioned this in As-Sunan. And Imam Tabarani has mentioned this in Al-Mu'jam al-Kabir. And remember, the Tirmizi of the Sunan of Imam Tirmizi is one of the 6 hadith canons. Those of you who have studied even to the very basic level, according to Sunni Islam, we have the Quran, and then we have 6 books of hadith, which are called the Saha Sitta, That does not mean there are only 6 books of hadith, there are more. But the 6 which are called the Sahih canons, there are 6. Bukhari, Muslim, Abu Dawood, Nisa'i, Ibn Majah and Tirmizi. But then you have other books as well. Yes, Ibn Habban's, Imam Hakim, the Mustadrak, Imam Hakim al-Nishapuri. Then you have Imam Tabarani, ila akhirihi. The point I'm mentioning here is बाज़ औक़ात ऐसे होता है कि आदमी पूछता है कि एक हदीस दिखाइए तो सिर्फ बुखारी की हो. यार ये कहाँ से ये सोच लाए हो तुम? The hadith can only be from Bukhari. It can only be from Muslim. No, this is incorrect. There are many other muhaddisun. For example, Imam Abu Hanifa rahimahullah, he has his own compilations of hadith as well. And his students, Imam Muhammad al-Shaybani, Imam Yusuf, Imam Muhammad, Imam Zufar, they have their own compilations of hadith as well. Ila akhirihi. What a beautiful hadith. The Prophet sallallahu alayhi wa alihi wa sallam, he says, Man ahabbani, jisne mujhse muhabbat ki. He who loves me. Rasulullah is speaking these words and he says, Man ahabbani, jisne mujhse muhabbat ki. That person who loves me. Wa ahabba hadain, and he loves these two, i.e. Hassan and Hussein. Wa abahuma, and he loves their father. Who is their father? Ali. Wa ummahuma, and he loves their mother. Who is their mother? Sayyidatu nisa'i ahli al-jannah, Sayyida Fatima. What's the reward you will have? There are 5 people that have been mentioned here. Rasulullah, Hassan, Hussein, Ali and Sayyida Fatima. The person who loves these 5, what will the reward be? What a reward. Not a normal reward, but a very, very great reward. And this is what the companions wanted. Let me share with you what the companions wanted. There was a Sahabi, he had no other duty. His job was to get water for Rasulullah sallallahu alayhi wasallam and give it to the Prophet so he could do wudu for Salatul Fajr. उसका काम और कुछ भी नहीं था, यही था कि पानी लाए, आका अलैहि सलातु वसलाम फजर का वुजू करते उस पानी से. एक दिन मेरे आका ने इरशाद फरमाया, one day the Prophet sallallahu alayhi wasallam said to him, Sal, मांग तो अता तुझे दिया जाएगा. Ask whatever you ask, you will be given, you will be granted. To a Sahabi the Prophet says this. Why? Because the hadith is wallahu mu'ti wa innama ana qasim, कि बेशक देने वाला अल्लाह है, तकसीम करने वाला मैं हूँ. The provider is Allah, I distribute. रब है मोती, ये है कासिम. रिज़्क़ है उनका, खिलाते ये हैं. और इन्ना आतैना कल कौसर, सारी कसरत पाते ये हैं. The Prophet sallallahu alayhi wa alihi wa sallam said, Mang. And this is deep grammar, I don't really want to go into it. Sal mang, tu'ta, you will be given. Ask and you will be given. When in the Arabic language fi'al muta'addi is used and the maf'ul bihi is not mentioned, जब सवाल किया जाता है कि मांग और किस चीज के मांगने का कोई जिक्र ही ना हो, this gives the benefit of 2 things. What is that? तर्जमा क्या बनता है? क़वाइद अरबिया के मुताबिक इसका तर्जमा यह बनता है कि मांग, जो कुछ मांग, जितना मांग, जिस किस्म का मांग, जितनी मर्तबा मांग, जो भी तू मांगना चाहता है मैं तुझे अता करूंगा. Ask for whatever you want, I will grant it to you. Now the Sahabi had the whole world in front of him. He can ask for absolutely anything. लेकिन मांगने वाले ने क्या मांगा? What did he say that I want? मांगने वाले ने यह कहा कि इन्नी अस्अलुका मुराफaqataka fil jannah. I don't want anything else, Ya Rasulullah. All I want, inni as'aluka, I ask of you, murafaqataka, I ask for you, fil jannah, in jannah. मांगने वाले ने क्या मांगा? वो कहते हैं कि या रसूलल्लाह मैं तुझसे मांगता हूँ, तुझको मांगता हूँ, जन्नत मैं मांगता हूँ. तुझ ही से तुझको मांग कर मांग ली सारी कायनात. तुझ ही से तुझको मांग कर मांग ली सारी कायनात. तुझसा कोई सखी नहीं. Ya Rasulullah, all I ask for you is that. Now look at, this is the aqidah of the Sahaba. They have the right to ask for anything. And what do they ask for? Rasulullah to be with him in Jannah. Now let's come back to the hadith. Man ahabbani, jisne mujhse muhabbat ki. व अहब्बा हाज़ैनी, इन दोनों से मोहब्बत की, हसन और हुसैन से, व अबाहुमा, और इनके बाप से अली, व उम्महुमा, और इनकी माँ से सैयदा पाक से. Our teachers would say to us, even when the name of Sayyida Fatima comes, the first time you should mention her name. After that, don't mention her name. Refer to her by one of her titles and lower yourself slightly. Why lower yourself slightly? Make it a habit of lowering yourself in her honor in this world, and then on the day of judgment, when you are commanded to lower yourself, you will be lowered as well. Whoever loves me, Rasulullah, Hassan, Hussein, Ali and Fatima, what will the reward be? Kana ma'i fi darajati yawm al-qiyamah. Kal qiyamat ke din wo mere saath, mere darje mein wo mere saath hoga. That tomorrow he will be with me in my rank on the day of judgment. This is what the Sahaba asked for. Allah has given us the same reward by doing what? Loving these individuals, my brothers and sisters. And the opposite is the same. अगर इनसे मोहब्बत करने के फ़ायदे बहुत हैं, इनसे बुग़्ज़, अदावत, दुश्मनी रखने के भी नुकसान बहुत हैं. Just the way loving these people, the rewards are great. Showing animosity, hatred, opposition to these people is the same. The Prophet ﷺ said in a hadith which has been mentioned by Imam Tabarani in Al-Mu'jamul Kabir. Imam Haytami has also mentioned this in Mujma'uz Zawaid. Kanzul Umal Hindi has mentioned this as well. What is that? Man ahabbahuma ahbabtuhu. जो इन दोनों से प्यार करता है, मैं उनसे प्यार करता हूँ. Whoever loves these two, I love them. वमन अहबब्तुहु, और जिससे मैं प्यार करता हूँ, अहब्बहुल्लाह, अल्लाह उससे प्यार करता है. वमन अहब्बहुल्लाह अदखलहु जन्नातिन नईम, जो अल्लाह से प्यार करता है, अल्लाह ताला उस आदमी को जन्नत नईम में दाखिल फरमाएगा. Then he says वमन अबगदहुमा, जो इन दोनों से बुग़्ज़ रखता है, he who has hatred towards these two, ओ बगा अलैहिमा, oh he went against them, अबगदतुहु, he has gone against me. वमन अबगदतुहु अबगदहुल्लाह, जिसने मेरी दुश्मनी की, रसूलुल्लाह फरमा रहे हैं, जिसने हसन हुसैन की दुश्मनी की, उसने मेरी दुश्मनी की, जिसने मेरी दुश्मनी की, अबगदहुल्लाह, फिल हकीकत उसने अल्लाह की दुश्मनी की. वमन अबगदहुल्लाह, और जिसने अल्लाह से बुग़्ज़ रखा, अदखलहु अज़ाब जहन्नम, अल्लाह ताला उसको जहन्नम का अज़ाब देगा. वलहु अज़ाबुम मुकीम, और ये लगातार अज़ाब होगा. My brothers and sisters, there's one hadith I read yesterday, I mentioned yesterday. I did not read the Arabic of that, and I was seeing by some faces, this is an art, speaking is an art, and understanding, if the people are understanding, is also an art. Your facial expressions can tell me whether you are agreeing with me, whether you are understanding me, or whether inside you are questioning me. ये एक तजर्बा है, सुनने से आदमी को पता चल जाता है कि ये बात मेरी सुन रहा है, समझ रहा है, या मेरे बाहर से तो खुश है, अंदर से कुछ और है. You know, बाज़ औक़ात questions are raised. People are thinking this thing which Imam Sahib is saying is very strong, it's a big claim, but is there any real existence to this or not? I mentioned the hadith that the Sahaba, from them, a companion, he said that I have been given certain knowledge from Rasulullah sallallahu alayhi wasallam, that if I was to share it, my head would be chopped off. This is Abu Hurairah radiyallahu ta'ala an. Sayyiduna Abu Hurairah is not in need of any introduction. The amount of narrations that come through Sayyiduna Abu Hurairah, they are in thousands. That individual who narrates all of these narrations of Rasulullah sallallahu alayhi wa alihi wasallam, he says, Hafiztu min Rasulillah. Before I read the hadith, Imam Bukhari has mentioned in his Sahih. This is in the Sahih of Imam Bukhari, Kitabul Ilm, Babu Hifdil Ilm, the hadith number 120. Ibn Futuh has mentioned this in Al-Jam' Bayn al-Sahihain. Ibn Sa'ad has mentioned this in At-Tabaqatul Kubra. Ibn Asakir has mentioned in his Tarikh Madinat Damishq. The hadith is what? Hafiztu min Rasulillahi sallallahu alayhi wa sallam wi'a'ain. فَأَمَّا أَحَدُهُمَا فَبَثَسْتُهُ وَأَمَّا الْآخَرُ فَلَوْ بَثَسْتُهُ قُطِعَ هَذَا الْبُلْعُومُ. Abu Hurairah radiallahu ta'ala, and he narrates and he says कि मैंने रसूलुल्लाह से दो इल्म सीखे, विआइन, What is wi'a'ain? It's mentioned in the commentary of this that Imam Ibn Battal, he says, in regards to this, one knowledge, he says, I have given two knowledge. Wi'a means, in English it would be a container. जिसमें कुछ चीज़ डालते नहीं है. Something you put something inside. A container. I had two containers of knowledge. So basically from the fountain of Rasulullah, there are two different types of knowledge I drank. That's what Abu Huraira is saying here, for your understanding. Rasulullah के मशरब से मैंने दो किस्म के इल्म सीखे. For the first one he says, فَأَمَّا أَحَدُهُمَا, as for one of them, فَبَثَثْتُهُ, what was given to me, I passed it on to the people. जो Rasulullah ने मुझे सिखाया, मैं लोगों तक उसकी तालीमात दे दी. وَأَمَّا الْآخَرُ, as for the second, فَلَوْ بَثَثْتُهُ, if I was to share that, قُطِئَ حَازَ الْبُلْعُومِ, my bul'um would be cut. What is bul'um? فَلَوْ بَثَثْتُهُ قُطِئَ حَازَ الْبُلْعُومِ, in regards to this is mentioned that bul'um is the tube through which a person eats and he drinks, meaning that there is no way you can survive once that's cut. What he means is that if I was to share the second knowledge, I would be killed. There's no doubt that I would be killed. What is that knowledge? In regards to, he said that I did not share. وَأَمَّا الْآخَرُ, as for the second knowledge, فَلَوْ بَسَسْتُهُ قُطِعَ حَازَ الْبُلْعُومِ قَالَ الْمُحَلَّبُ وَأَبُو الزَّنَادِ يعني أنها كانت أحاديث أشراط الساعة. That the second knowledge which Rasulullah gave me that I did not share to the people, what was that? That was to do with the conditions and the signs of the day of judgment. Those major things. وَمَا عَرَّفَ بِهِ مِنْ فَسَادِ الدِّينِ, and Rasulullah also told me that in the religion of Islam, what type of fitnas are about to come. कौन से fitne bapa होंगे. Then he says, وَتَغْيِيرِ الْأَحْوَالِ, the changing of states. وَتَدْئِئِ لِحُقُوقِ اللَّهِ تَعَالَى, how people will turn on the rights of Allah. كَقَوْلِهِ صلى الله عليه وسلم يَكُونُ فَسَادُ هَذَا الدِّينِ عَلَى يَدِ أُغَيْلَمَا सुफहा मिन कुरैश. रसूलुल्लाह ने क्या फरमाया था? That the destruction of this religion will be on the hands of Ughaylamatин sufaha min Quraysh. Ughaylama is the plural of Ghulaym. Ghulam, Ghulaym, Ughaylama. Ghulam, Ghulaym, tasghir. Ughaylama, the plural. The religion will be destructed on the hearts of Ghulam. You know what a Ghulam is? Servant. Ghulam, very small servants. Ughaylama, servants. Sufaha, bad. Min Quraysh, from the Quraysh. وَكَانَ أَبُو هُرَيْرَةَ رَضِيَ اللَّهُ أَنْ يَقُولُ, Abu Huraira used to say, لَوْ شِئْتُ أَنْ أُسَمِّيَهُمْ بِأَسْمَائِهِمْ, if I wanted to name them by their names, فَخَشِيَ عَلَى نَفْسِهِ, I fear on my own body, I fear myself. فَلَمْ يُصَرِّخْ, so I didn't. وَكَذَلِكَ يَنْبَغِي لِكُلِّ مَنْ أَمَرَ بِمَعْرُوفٍ إِذَا خَافَ عَلَى نَفْسِهِ بِالتَّسْلِيءِ أَوْ يُعَرِّضْ. And this very same thing then later on, Ibn Hajar al-Asqalani, he mentions in the commentary of Bukhari, Fathul Bari, he says, وَحَمَلَ الْعُلَمَاءُ الوعاء الذي لم يبثه على الأحاديث التي فيها تبين أسامي أمراء السوء. That the knowledge, जब अबू हुरैरा ने ये फरमाया, ये बात समझने वाले मैं बहुत आसान करके आपको बता रहा हूँ. I'm setting the scene for the actual event of Karbala. That Abu Huraira says that if I was to share the second knowledge, what would happen? What did I say? What did he say rather? Bul'um, done, dusted. What did Ibn Hajar Asqalani say in Fathul Bari? He says that second science, if what is that, they are the asami umara as-su, they are the names of the bad leaders. Wa ahwalihim, and their states, wa zamanihim, and even the time in which they would come. Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam ने यहाँ तक बताया था कि कौन किसकी वजह से दीन में फितना बपा होगा, उनके अहवाल क्या होंगे, उनका जमाना कौन सा होगा, हत्ता कि उन उमरा, उन लीडर्स के नाम भी मेरे आका ने अबू हुरैरा को बताया. To such an extent, the names of those bad leaders was given to Sayyiduna Abu Hurairah radiallahu ta'ala an. To such an extent, he says, وَقَدْ كَانَ أَبُو هُرَيْرَةَ رضي الله أن يكني عن بعده ولا يصرح به خوفا على نفسه منهم. Out of fear of them, he did not disclose the names. كقوله, as he used to say, أعوذ بالله من رأس الستين وإمارة السبيان. May Allah se panah mangta hu. I seek refuge and protection from Allah. Min ra'si sittin, from the 60th year. Wa imarati sibyan, and the leadership of these young children. Young children come into leadership. May us waqt se panah mangta hu. Then what does he say? This yushiru ila khilafati Yazid. Fathul Bari, Ibn Hajar Asqalani, Sharah Bukhari. He says this was the khilafah of Yazid. لأنها كانت سنة 60 من الهجرة. Why? Because it was the 60th years of Hijrah when he came into power and authority. And then listen to the next part. وَاسْتَجَابَ اللَّهُ دُعَاءَ أَبِي هُرَيْرَةَ فَمَاتَ قَبْلَهَا بِسَنَةٍ. Allah Ta'ala ने अबू हुरैरा की दुआ इस तरीके से कबूल की कि 60 साल से वो पनाह मांग रहे थे. In the year 59, Abu Huraira, he left this world. My brothers and sisters, the reason I mention this is because, and I conclude with these words. The next question you need to ask yourself, that why is it Imam Hussein went from Medina to Mecca and from Mecca to Karbala? There were other great companions as well. Why is it that he went? What is the philosophy behind his sacrifice? What is the falsafa that he sacrificed himself? What has he given to this dunya? What has he given to us people? Is this a dispute between two people? Or is this a clash of ideologies? Is this a clash of two philosophies? My brothers and sisters, the events which took place from the Quran and Sunnah and the Ahlul Sunnati wal Jama'ah, authentic narration from the Quran and Sunnah, it's important for us to understand that these people have given a sacrifice. This is something which was prophesied. We have the hadith of Salama radiallahu ta'ala anha. We have how Jibreel descended and he informed the Prophet of what is going to happen, and how he was shown the lands from which the soil was taken and given to him. These are all things that can be discussed. Point being here, Imam Hussein radiallahu ta'ala and he sacrificed for our sake, for the sake of the religion of Islam. When he gave absolutely everything. Some people, if you look at history, they have given up their kingdom. Some people have given up their family. Some people have given up their leadership. Some people have given up one thing or the other. Very rarely you find an example where somebody has sacrificed absolutely everything for the sake of Allah. And that's why today, whose name is alive? Imam Hussein radiyallahu ta'ala an. May Allah shower His mercy and blessings upon his grave in abundance. And through his blessings, may Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala forgive our major and minor sins. وَلَا تَقُولُوا لِمَنْ يُقْتَلُ فِي سَبِيلِ اللَّهِ أَمْوَاتٍ. That person who dies in the way of Allah, that person who is killed in the way of Allah rather, martyred in the way of Allah, don't call him dead. بَلْ أَحْيَاء. Rather he is alive. وَلَكِنْ لَا تَشْعُرُونَ. लेकिन तुम्हें इस बात की समझ ही नहीं, शऊर ही नहीं. But you don't understand this. If a normal individual is martyred in the way of Islam and he is alive, this is not an ordinary individual. This is that individual who grew up in the household of Rasulullah sallallahu alayhi wa alihi wa sallam. There's one very famous hadith, and if you allow me, shall I finish with one hadith? There's one hadith of the Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam, and you might have heard of the incident of Sayyiduna Umar radiyallahu ta'ala. And after a battle, Sayyiduna Abdullah ibn Umar radiyallahu anhuma, he came to Sayyiduna Umar and he says to Sayyiduna Umar that, you know, malul ghanima. What's malul ghanima in English? The booty. You know, when you fight a war and the remains which you gather together, that's called booty. Malul ghanima, male ghanimat. The malul ghanima was gathered together, and those people who had more experience, they were given more. Those who had less experience, they were given less. Sayyiduna Abdullah ibn Umar, the son of Umar, he was given some. Imam Hassan and Imam Hussein, they were given double. Sayyiduna Abdullah ibn Umar radiallahu anhuma, he says to his father, why is it that I have so much experience and you have given me less? And Hassan and Hussein, they have less experience and you have given them more. And his answer is a very beautiful answer. And the hadith is very similar to that the Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam said, and Sayyidina Umar, he says to his son, فَأْتِي بِأَبٍ كَأَبِيهِمَا وَأُمٍّ كَأُمِّهِمَا وَجَدٍّ كَجَدِّهِمَا وَجَدَّةٍ كَجَدَّتِهِمَا وَعَمٍّ كَأَمِّهِمَا وَعَمَّةٍ كَأَمَّتِهِمَا وَخَالٍ كَخَالِهِمَا وَحَالَةٍ كَخَالَتِهِمَا. सैयदना उमर रज़ियल्लाहु ताला अन्हु सेज, माल तो तुम उनके बराबर का मांग रहे हो, पहले उनके बाप जैसे कोई बाप लाओ, उनकी माँ जैसे कोई माँ लाओ, उनके नाने जैसा कोई नाना लाओ, उनके नानी जैसे कोई नानी लाओ, उसके अंकल जैसे कोई अंकल लाओ, तो फिर जो तुम माल मांग रहे हो मैं तुझे अता कर दूंगा. This is the hadith of Sayyiduna Rasulullah sallallahu alayhi wa alihi wa sallam himself. Abdullah ibn Abbas radiallahu ta'ala, and he narrates this. Imam Tabarani mentioned this in two of his works, Al-Mu'jamul Kabir and Al-Mu'jamul Awsat. And Ibn Abbas radiallahu anhuma qala qala Rasulullah sallallahu alayhi wa sallam, ayyuhan nas, the Prophet sallallahu alayhi wa sallam said, "Ay logo, O people, ala ukhbirukum bi khairin nas jaddan wa jadda, shall I not inform you who is the best of people, who are the best of people in terms of grandparents? Ala ukhbirukum bi khairin nasi amman wa amma, shall I not inform you who are the best of people in terms of paternal uncle and paternal auntie? Ala ukhbirukum bi khairin nasi khalan wa khala, shall I not inform you who are the best of people in terms of maternal uncle and maternal auntie? Ala ukhbirukum bi khairin nasi aban wa umma, shall I not inform you who are the best of people in terms of father and mother? They said, Bala, why not, Ya Rasulullah, inform us? He said, Huma al-Hasan wal-Hussein. The best of people in regards to all of the aforementioned, there are Hassan and Hussein. Then he sallallahu alayhi wa sallam himself says, Abdullah ibn Abbas, he narrates this, he said, Jadduhuma Rasulullah. Unka nana wo Allah ka Nabi hai, Allah ka Rasul hai. As for their grandfather, he is Rasulullah. Wa jaddatuhuma Khadijatu bint Khuwaylid. As for their grandmother, she is Khadija bint Khuwaylid. Wa ummuhuma, as for their mother, Fatimatu bintu Rasulillah. Their mother, she is Fatima, the daughter of Rasulullah sallallahu alayhi wa sallam. Wa abuhuma Ali ibn Abi Talib. As for their father, he is Ali bin Abi Talib. Wa ammuhuma, as for the paternal uncle, he is Ja'far ibn Abi Talib. He is Ja'far. Wa ammatuhuma, as for the paternal auntie, she is Hani bint Abi Talib. Wa khaluhuma, as for the maternal uncle, he is Al-Qasim ibn Rasulillah, the son of Rasulullah. Wa khalatahuma, as for the aunties, there are Zainab, wa Ruqayya, wa Kulsum banatu Rasulillah, the daughters of Rasulullah sallallahu alayhi wa sallam. The Prophet sallallahu alayhi wa sallam, then he concludes the hadith and he says, Jadduhuma fil Jannah, their grandfather is in Jannah. Wa abuhuma fil Jannah, their father is in Jannah. Wa ummuhuma fil Jannah, their mother is in Jannah. Wa ammuhuma fil Jannah, their uncle is in Jannah. Wa ammatuhuma, their auntie is in Jannah. Wa khalatuhuma, their aunties are also in Jannah. Wa huma fil Jannah, and them too are also in Jannah. Such a pure individual that we are speaking about. If you look at going upwards, his family, they are great. And from his progeny, if you look, Allah Hazrat says, Kya baat raza, Kya baat raza, us chamanastane karam ki, Kya baat raza, us chamanastane karam ki, Zahra hai kali jisme, हुसैन व हसन फूल, ज़हरा है कली जिस्म हुसैन व हसन फूल। अक़ूलु क़ौली हाज़ा वस्तग़फ़िरुल्लाह ली व लकुम व मा तौफ़ीक़ी इल्ला बिल्लाह। If you all raise your hands and we will collectively recite Surah Al-Fatiha. Alhamdulillahi Rabbil Alameen Ar-Rahman Ar-Rahim Maliki Yawmiddin Iyyaka na'budu wa iyyaka nasta'in Ihdinas siratal mustaqim siratal ladzina an'amta 'alaihim ghairil maghdubi 'alaihim waladdallin. Bismillahir Rahmanir Rahim. Qul huwallahu ahad. Allahus samad. Lam yalid wa lam yulad wa lam yakul lahu kufuwan ahad. Bismillahir Rahmanir Rahim. Qul huwallahu ahad. Allahus samad. Lam yalid wa lam yulad wa lam yakul lahu kufuwan ahad. Ameen. Alhamdulillahi Rabbil Alameen wa sallallahu ala Muhammadin wa alihi wa sahbihi ajma'in. اللهم ربنا تقبل منا إنك أنت السميع العليم وتب علينا يا مولانا إنك أنت التواب الرحيم. Ya Allah, Ya Rahman, Ya Rahim, the brothers that are in front of me, the sisters that are listening from upstairs, and those brothers and sisters that are listening to us live or they will be listening to us in the future, they are listening to this out of their love for the family of Rasulullah. O Allah, grant them Jannah. O Allah, as the Prophet has said, those who love them, love him. Those who love him, love Allah, and they will be in Jannatul Na'im. O Allah, grant us Jannatul Na'im. O Allah, forgive our major and minor sins. O Allah, allow us to understand the philosophy behind the journey of Karbala. And O Allah, allow us to become people of principles. O Allah, allow us to purify our hearts, our souls, and our minds. And O Allah, allow us to live in accordance to the teachings of the Quran and Sunnah. O Allah, allow us to love and respect all of the prophets, all of the messengers, all of the Sahaba, and the Ahlul Bayt of Rasulullah sallallahu alayhi wasallam, and the pious predecessors. O Allah, allow us to live our lives in the love of these people and allow us to tread and follow the path of these people. O Allah, these brothers and sisters that are here, everybody is distressed in one way or the other. O Allah, remove our difficulties. O Allah, you are Musabbibul Asbab. O Allah, remove our difficulties. O Allah, those of us that our loved ones have left this world, grant them Jannah. O Allah, those that are suffering from any forms of difficulty in terms of physical health, mental health, spiritual health, O Allah, purify their inner and outer self. O Allah, purify their minds and their thoughts and their bodies and their souls. O Allah, in those households in which there is disunity and discomfort, O Allah, replace it with peace and happiness and comfort. O Allah, those who have no children, O Allah, grant them pious children. O Allah, those of us who have children, allow us to bring them up in accordance to the teachings of the Quran and Sunnah. O Allah, many parents, even today after Salatul Jumu'ah, a number of parents approached me, fathers who are searching for suitable spouses for their daughters who are getting old. O Allah, make it easy for them. O Allah, all those who are searching for suitable spouses, O Allah, grant them the suitable relations which they are searching for. O Allah, all those that are searching for rizq halal, O Allah, grant them your sustenance in abundance. O Allah, those who are in debt, O Allah, allow them to overcome this difficult stage. O Allah, those who are serving this masjid and all masajid or any acts of goodness, any charitable works, O Allah, they are supporting your religion. Ya Allah, wo teri masjidों को आबाद कर रहे हैं, अल्लाह ताला तू उनके घरों को आबाद फरमा, उनकी जान, माल, औलाद, रिज़्क़, आबरू में रहमत और बरकत अता फरमा. There are many people here who go unnoticed. The Imam sits here and he speaks, but the volunteers, the security, the management, the trustees, brothers and sisters, there are many people here that are serving the masjid. और किसी की खुशनुदी के लिए बात करना ये मेरी आदत ही नहीं है, लेकिन वो अल्लाह के घर की मदद फरमा रहे हैं. अल्लाह ताला तो उनके घरों को आबाद फरमा. They are serving your religion without any benefit of that in this world. Oh Allah, grant them the benefit in the akhirah. Oh Allah, allow us to understand the Quran and Sunnah. And oh Allah, allow us to be people of true iman. This is the month of Muharram. From the main lessons we learn, وَتَوَاسَوْا بِالْحَقِّ وَتَوَاسَوْا بِالصَّبْرِ. Oh Allah, the truth and patience are two very difficult things. Ya Allah, हमें हक की साथ देने की तौफीक अता फरमा. Ya Allah, हम सबको सब्र अता फरमा. व सल्लल्लाहु तआला अला खैरि खल्क़िहि मुहम्मदिन व आलिहि व सहबिहि अजमाइन आमीन बिरहमतिका या अरहमर राहिमीन तक़ब्बलल्लाहु मिन्ना व मिनकुम।